Alright, today we are going to talk about blocked chords and finish up the multiple notes lesson. So once we get to this point, we've done 2 notes with double stops, 3 notes with triads, and now the last step is blocked chords where we just go 4, 5, or 6 notes altogether. There's no sense doing 4-note versions, 5-note versions, 6 notes. By this point, it's pretty self-explanatory of what we do from there. So for example, let's go ahead and start here. We've done the single notes, we've done 2 notes, that gives us a double stop. This would be a triad, so far that's every first 3 strings open. So a block chord is basically just adding a whole bunch more notes. Let's go ahead. So this would be technically a block chord here. So 4 notes or more is considered a blocked chord. And that's just kind of a partial E minor. We have 4 strings 2nd fret, and then the first 3 strings are open. Now if we want to take this fully, we can add the 5-2 and all the way down and add the 6th open. And that creates just a full E minor chord now. And we could still consider that just a block chord still. And as we're going through these, we just have different variations of chords that we already know. So one of the advantages of it seems harder because there's a whole bunch more notes to read, but the advantage is once you figure out what the real chord is, most of the time it's just going to be a chord that we already know. So for example, if I see all these notes stacked up on top, at first it might be a pain in the butt to figure out what they all are, but once I figure out what they are, I can just remember, oh, that's an E minor chord. And many times I'll just come up to the top here with a pen or pencil and write E minor above, so the next time I have to play it, I already know that's E minor and I'm ready to go. Alright, so if we do this one, let's try another one. So we can start here. First string 3rd, 2nd string open, 3rd open, 4th open. Okay, pretty easy block chord there. But more than likely we're going to see the full chord where we do the 5-2 and 6-3. And that makes a G chord now. So anywhere between 4, 5, and 6 notes is going to be maybe a partial chord that we already know. If we've got all the notes, especially if we get into the 5th and 6th string, more than likely you're going to be playing a full chord with your left hand that you're already familiar with. Now the only thing that gets sometimes some changing with block chords is when we're doing this, that top note is going to represent generally the melody of the song. Well, that top note of the melody may not always be the exact note that we need of a chord. It may be another note that can harmonize with our chord that we need, but we need to modify the chord to match the melody. Here's a very common example with this. Okay, so I'm going to take this previous example G, but instead of putting the G on the top first 3, we're going to put 2-3. And then we're going to have the 3rd string open, 4th open, 5-2, and 6-3. So that's pretty much a G chord with my left hand, except by instead of putting the 3rd finger on the 1st string 3rd fret, I'm going to put the finger on the 2nd string 3rd fret. So it's still basically a G, but I've had to modify it slightly to accommodate for the melody. And that's probably the most common application of block chords, is we're going to be like 99% of the chord in my left hand is going to be the original chord, and then maybe the top note is modified or changed slightly so that I can play the melody and make it work with the chord. Here's an example again. This is quite common. We're going to take a C chord. So if I block out a C chord, here's a C chord with all the block chords. So there's a C chord. That's just a normal C chord for my left hand. Nothing has changed there. But quite commonly, the melody needs to be this note here. So I'm going to have to play the block chord like this. So that's essentially a C chord, and then I'd probably play the pinky here to be able to play that last note. So it just kind of depends. We just have to look very closely to all the notes we're being played, especially the top notes and then the bottom notes. And then filling in the middle is not too hard from there. But basically block chords are just, when we see a bunch of notes like this, we just kind of go in assuming we're going to need pretty much a full chord or a normal chord that we're used to with our left hand, and then we may have to adjust the top note for the melody. Alright, let's just take a look at a couple of other examples. Let's put all of these here. We'll play a little door here. Can you find what chord that is? Alright, that's an A minor chord with my left hand, and I don't have to make any adjustments at all with the left hand. Let's try another one. Let's change that just slightly. So let's say this is now A minor. All the left hand fingers are used for a normal A minor. However, I cannot strum the first string because the melody in this case needs to be that one there. And that's the basics of block chords.